What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Me TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and today we're going to be discussing a Reasonable Doubt, y'all. That's right. This is season 3, episode 5, titled Threat. I hope you guys have had a wonderful start to your week, y'all. Just want to go ahead before we start the show and say rest in peace to D'Angelo, y'all. It's going to be here for the rest of the week. Y'all, they've been playing his music now. It's always been in my playlist, but the more people talk about it and just honor him, it's just like, wow, he's really gone. So rest in peace to him. Shout out to, or prayers up for the family. I know him and Angie Stone both tragically passed away this year, and they shared a kid. So, it's just, prayers up to the family. Without further ado, let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is Ozzie's high-stakes murder trial kicks off, culminating in the prosecution calling a bombshell witness. Lewis teams up with Daniel to dig into Eddie's past. Y'all, this was a really good episode. I don't know what took me so long. I told y'all I've been going through some things, family-wise. Been trying to bounce back. But that schedule is just like, girl, nope, not today. So we here now, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode. So the episode opens with everyone gearing up for trial. Ozzie is a wreck, y'all. Jax is getting ready and she's looking good. Ozzie, on the other hand, y'all, he is crying on his lover / abuser's shoulder. He is a mess. And we see her giving him something to medicate him, to relax him a little bit. But Jax do look good in her red suit. Okay, so they end up getting to the courthouse, and they gotta pass crowds on both sides. Now, y'all know once you get into one of these high-profile court cases, you're going to have the people on each side, some in support, some against. Now, I did see one of the signs, and one of the signs was like, me and my felons in them. My felons in them, or criminals in them, or something like that, y'all. It was funny. I ain't gonna lie. So both sides in their openings give really good opening statements that play into Ozzie's profession. I was like, okay, I see y'all with the wordplay. From the prosecution side, they was just like, how's he gonna put on the show? He's gonna put on the show because that's what he do. He's an actor at the end of the day. He brutally murdered his girlfriend, and now he's putting on the front, like he's innocent in all of this. But don't be fooled by the act. That's what he does best. While on Jax's side, she ends up telling them, all they have, as far as the prosecution side goes, is circumstantial evidence that ain't even worth a second episode. We not tuning in for this series. We ain't gonna even make it past the first episode because you know why? He ain't do it. That man was at home all night because his GPS in his car said so. I was like, okay, Jax. Now, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Is you supposed to divulge all this information in the opening statement? But I guess, it's your opening statement, so you can do whatever you will with it. But anywho, we learned that the GPS corroborates that car was there all night. Not necessarily him, but the car. Now, after court, Jax is talking strategy with Ozzie, Daniel, and Kristen. And so she says that she needs a little bit more evidence that he was at home that night. Okay, I know the GPS said what it said, but if we could find something else to help solidify your alibi, that would work. Oh, y'all, that was a bar. Come on, solidifying alibis. But at this point, all he can tell her is, look, girl, I was at home. I got high. And usually, when I get high like that, I like to watch the first 48. I was like, you too, Ozzie? Now, I don't get high, but I do love the first 48. So much, in fact, that I used to fall asleep to it. Because the narrator's voice. Do you understand what I'm saying? The narrator's voice. Yeah. Maybe I'm a little troubled. Well, considering the fact that your girlfriend popped up dead, I don't think that's the best show to say that you was at home all night watching once she got high. Okay. And so she ends up asking for Kristen to get the logins for the streamings because, usually it records what you was watching when you was watching it. All that technological stuff that I have no clue about. So, unless you're sharing a password. Does it still count? Does it clock if you somewhere else, if you sharing a password? I'm just asking for a friend. So, her and Daniel go to the back to get the logins, right? And so while they're gone, she ends up bringing up Monica. And he gets real defensive about it. Have you told your parents about the abuse, this, that, and the third? And he was like, no. I never said that Monica was the one that was abusing me. Why would you say her name? She did. And she was like, bingo. See, I suspected it, but you just confirmed it. Why are you still hanging around this lady? She is a monster. Does she know the type of effect that she's had on you? And I was like, yes, Jax, thank you for your inner child who was abused. Thank you for understanding and speaking up for him. But he is still there. He can't get away from her. And whether it's due to her just constantly hovering over him and, keeping him drugged up and under her spell, or whether he just not ready to leave her alone because he's got that, is it called Stockholm Syndrome? Yeah, I think that's what it might be. He just not ready. And so he was like, look, man, okay. And I think she ended up asking him, has he told his parents that Monica was the one that was abusing him? And he was like, nah, man, nah, see, it's the block is too hot right now. Can we please not mention any of this to my parents? Please. And she was like, okay, but I just feel like the way that they received him the last time, Monica would have got hands and feet placed on her. That might be what he afraid of too, okay? Because they definitely going to jail behind him, especially that mama. I don't know about that daddy, but that mama, yeah. So, after he had proved her theory correct that Monica was the one that was molesting him, she noticed that he was balling his fist up like he was, angry. Like he was in this aggressive mode, right? And she was like, see, she got you triggered. What's going on here? You see how triggered you are? And he was like, yeah, and usually once I get triggered, then she calms me down by drugging me up. Or somebody gives me something to calm me down. It's a vicious cycle. You see how I want you to get out of this? You see how I want to come and save you? He's not ready. So he tells her that, yes, Monica may have been doing some things that aren't right, but she definitely was not here the night that Wendy went missing. Nor was Byron. And so, like I said, he makes her promise to not bring it up to his parents right now. It's already too much going on. Meanwhile, in the back, Kristen's supposed to be getting them logins, but her phone keep blowing up. F no, keep calling. And so Daniel happens to do the looky down, who F no seems to be calling you quite a bit. He testing the waters to see what a response is going to be. Are you going to tell me that you got somebody or not? And so she was like, it's just some guy. I ain't really thinking about him. So he really want to be her man without asking to be her man. And she just suddenly goes in for a kiss, y'all. And so they getting real hot and heavy. And then all of a sudden, Jack start calling for him. He was like, yes. I'm coming, boss. Okay, I'm coming. And so Kristen ends up telling him that she's going to get him them logins that she was supposed to be looking for. Oh, I found them at the bottom of your throat. I'm going to get you those logins and send them to you right now. Cool. Y'all, and while I love the fact that Daniel is getting attention from somebody, I'm very, very sad that it unfortunately is the wrong person. The wrong person to be getting some attention from, because I feel like she is involved. I cannot trust her. It's just something about her that just does not sit well with my spirit. She's hiding something. Okay. Now, at court the next day, they have the Emmy and the lead homicide detective working the case take the stand. And again, both sides make very valid arguments, but it seems like to me, Jax has a slight lead because while Wendy was found by his cabin with a gunshot wound fired from his gun, his prints weren't on it at all. Couldn't find them nowhere. They also highlight that he had scratches on his chest, but when they did Wendy's autopsy, there was none of his DNA found under her fingernails, and them wounds look deep on his chest. So he was definitely getting it from somebody, maybe Monica. Maybe. And sure, there might have been some DNA on her somewhere from him, but it wasn't under her fingernails, which is the most important place right now. But the other DNA can be explained by simply the fact that they were romantically involved. It only makes sense. What case do y'all have again? Oh, okay. Why are we wasting the court's time? So the Emmy speaks to how, because of where the gunshot wound was, Wendy bled out extremely fast. But she also noticed bruises on her along with some rope burns. Like she had gotten into a fight. Like she had some bruises on her ribs and all of that. And so the defense ended up having the thought that Ozzie was solely behind this dismissed as possible incidences that could happen in one's day-to-day activities. And I was like, how? How do you accidentally run into something that hard to where it's bruising? And Wendy is not old enough to start having those things occur unless, I don't know. But she seems like she's too young to be bumping into something hard enough to leave several bruises on her, like the Emmy was given in her testimony. So we'll see what happens there. They then highlight a tweet that the Emmy had put out about Ozzie being the rudest celebrity that she had ever came into contact with. So how much can we really trust your testimony? Without it being a little biased? They then get on the topic of why the police never pursued any other potential suspects like the assailant during the robberies up there. And the detective was like, it's simple. His DNA was on her. The location where her body was found was literally steps away from where his cabin was. His gun was used to kill her. And we all know the statistics about a lover or significant other or the spouse always usually being the perpetrator behind their partner's demise. Okay, statistics show it. So if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a damn duck. I mean, he got you there. Now, Jax ends up getting her steps in her very expensive red bottoms. I was like, girl, there is no way you would catch me in nobody's park, on nobody's concrete asphalt, in nobody's park walking in my red bottoms. I'm getting out the car, I'm walking into whatever venue, and I'm sitting down. So I was like, okay, girl, you got these red bottoms on. You ain't have no flats in the car. Everybody knows to have flats in the car as the backups, okay? We ain't stepping out into nothing fancy. It's just gonna be flats after we get done the priority stuff. But she went to the park because that's what her raggedy mama is. She ended up rolling up on her mama when her mama was walking with her homegirls. And even in that group, the mama was being messy, talking about one of their other homegirls that's been MIA because, she got her a new man. Girl, shut up. Now, initially, Mama was bragging about Jax, but when she was walking up, she was like, oh, yeah, there goes my daughter. She handling that big-time, high-profile case that y'all been seeing on TV, that y'all been hearing about. That's my baby. She doing that. And so once Jax explained why she was there, she was like, I'm going to catch up to y'all. So Jax was like, Mama, why you let that man see my kids after I told both of y'all that he could meet them when I was ready? But you ain't got the slightest idea about what a boundary actually is, do you? And so her mama tries to excuse her behavior by saying that he kept asking about the kids. You know, he just love the kids. He just want to know so much about y'all. And it ain't about time that y'all go ahead and patch this up. I don't know why you feeling the way that you feel against your father, Jacqueline. But you're going to have to ship up real fast. Shape up real fast. And I was like, why? There is something happening here. She is definitely doing a lot of pillow talking. Them lips is real loose. All of them. And you doing all this probably just because he want to know about her and the kids? Is it because he trying to put her in the wheel? Because you just being so messy right now. But that was never her place to reveal those things. Ever. That's what Jack say. And in true Raggedy Mama fashion, instead of her taking responsibility for what she has done, how she again has crossed another boundary with her child, she shifts blame to Jax and tries to bring up the awful decisions that she's made. You know, I never said anything when you almost got yourself killed. You had a man, take himself out in front of you. I never said anything about when you had that affair. I never said anything about when you and Lewis was going through what you was going through, and then he brought a side baby up in here. Oh, no, I never said anything about that. And speaking of Lewis, you got some nerve when he over here rolling up on Eddie, trying to say whatever he need to say. And so Jax was like, Mama, what did Lewis say? Girl, since you so upset with me, that ain't none of my concern. Ain't that what you said? Ain't none of this my business, so I'm not gonna tell you. That's what she said. I said, girl, how old are you? Now, we love Mrs. Washington, but on this show, can't stand her, y'all. Can't stand her at all. And she ended up telling her, you know what? At the end of the day, when I'm dead and gone, girl, you ain't gonna have nobody else to blame. And I was like, now, wow, Jax has made some mistakes. That is very true. And while sometimes she does misplace her blame, okay, instead of her taking responsibility, it's just like she following in your footsteps because you can't seem to take responsibility for none of your actions neither. None of them, especially when it comes to her being hurt and molested. And she even asked her mama, had you told Eddie about that since you want to spread all of my business? Did you tell him about the time that I came to you and told you that Paul was touching all on me? Did you tell him that? No, she did not. You know she didn't. Because that would mean that she would have to be accountable and come to grips with what she let happen under her watch. But okay. So she walks away after she told Jax, girl, since you said y'all ain't none of my business, and I'm not going to tell you what Lewis said to Eddie because it ain't none of my business. At this point, Jax, be done with both of the parents. I'm tired of both of them. Just be done. Now, we know she ain't going to let that happen, but still, wishful thinking. Now, Kristen is still dodging calls from F-No, but he got something for her because he actually pop up to the house. Y'all, it's Alex. It's Alex. That's who we've been waiting on. And he's dropping by because he needs some more cash flow. He said he's short on funds, and that little $10,000 that you gave me, yeah, no, that ain't enough. I'm gonna need about $100,000 so I can get the hell up out of town. And so Kristen was like, boy, what? How did you go through $10,000 so fast? And I was like, what are you paying him for in the first place? Huh? What y'all been doing over there? What secrets is he harboring? Yeah. So she was like, look, $100,000, ain't nobody got that at the ready. I don't have that. So you're going to have to give me some more time. And as far as, paparazzi and stuff and the reporters and stuff showing up on your doorstep, they're showing up to everybody's doorstep that was on my cousin and them. You ain't special. And so he was like, well, maybe the prosecution may just want to hear what I got to say about, I feel like he said something about a video, y'all. Did I miss something? So it seems like he's using some sort of video for blackmail. I wonder if it's got something to do with that daddy. Or probably Monica. But either way, he's got a video. And she said, girl, give me some time. Give me some time. I'll get you your money. You just be quiet. Or maybe it's got something to do with Kristen. Because the only person that seemed to be trying to reach out to him is Ozzie. So, what he know? We need to know. So, Lewis ends up meeting up with Daniel to see if he can help him track Eddie and see if he's really on the up and up. And I was like, Lewis, can you please stick to your video games? Stick to the video game design and job that you have. This is you trying to be bootleg PI after hours, before out. This is not going to work for you. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with this whole Lewis thing because it just got on my nerves. It's like, for what? So he meets with Daniel and he's trying to see if Daniel can help him get a tracker. And Daniel was like, so I can't right now because all of my trackers are tied up at the moment. But I mean, you can always order one off of Amazon. And I was like, damn, Lewis, I could have told you that. Daniel probably ordered his off of Amazon Plus. I'm just kidding, y'all. But yeah, no. He was like, just put the tracker on the car. You should be fine. You know, if you order it now, it'll probably be here within 24 hours. It'll probably give you the overnight if you really want it to happen. So that's exactly what he do. And to skip ahead just a little bit, because Lewis got on my nerves this episode. He don't have the balls to really approach Eddie the way that he need to. Instead, he just trying to go behind the back and be real covert. So, he ends up going to the seedy ass motel that Eddie is staying at, and he ends up popping it on his car, right? But as he's right there, I think he notices, because it was really dark, I couldn't see the whole scene when he was in the parking lot. I feel like he saw Jax's car while he was there. And then when Jax was walking out, he hadn't left yet. So I was wondering, girl, did you look up to see if you saw your husband's car? But maybe he was a little too far away. But you at the city motel, ain't nobody riding around in them type of cars that y'all got. Not over there. So it would have stuck out like a sore thumb. But either way, he gets this tracker on Eddie's car. And then the next day or so, we see him following Eddie to somebody's apartment, and he stepping out the car with his homeboy. He meeting his homeboy there, and they finna get ready to walk in his house. And I was like, you know what? And he's sitting over there taking pictures with his camera phone. Fool! I mean, if you're going to go out loud, Lewis, you might as well just go ahead and get the Nikon camera, you know, so you can really get the shim, 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 the real fast action, okay? But anywho, I digress. So I feel like Eddie he's either trying to help somebody, he's trying to help somebody get clean, or he's meeting there for some sort of therapy or something like that. I don't think this is anything that Lewis believes this may be. I think it's something a lot more innocent than what he believes it is. But unfortunately, I think Daniel's going to get wrapped up in that amongst other things. And Jackson's going to be looking at Daniel sideways. But that's enough about Lewis. In court, the next people to take the stand are Ozzie's next door neighbor, the one that had the Ring camera, and his ex, who never misses a moment to mention how much of a F-boy he really is. So they're both there to speak to Ozzie's temperament and how he was easily agitated at any given moment, which would cause arguments between him and most people that he interacted with. Now, his neighbor stated that he was so used to Ozzie flying off the handle, you know, he could be arguing with the Amazon deliverer. He could be arguing with the DoorDash person. He always be arguing with Wendy. But, I mean, I never saw anything turn violent. But then when she showed up missing on my TV, you know, and they was arguing the other night, and my Ring camera had caught it. So I was like, okay, go ahead and hit record. But then when she popped up missing on my TV the other day, I just figured that I'd go ahead and get the police a call. Yeah. Nothing violent. Yeah, he snap off on folks, but he one of them people with a whole bunch of bark and no bite. It seems like. You know, it was just another night that Ozzie done pissed somebody off. It is what it is to him. Now, they end up questioning his ex, and she brings up this police report that she had filed against him for grabbing her face super hard. But Jax was like, girl, wait a minute, hold on. Now, when you filed that police report, what was the day that you filed that? I'm finna show you this paperwork that was filed on you. This is a restraining order. And look at that date that he filed that restraining order. So you was in violation of the restraining order, huh? Now, granted, he was wrong, but you wasn't supposed to be there no way. And so as soon as she was finna get ready to go into, see, that's why black women always supporting and abuse. She said, girl, nothing further. Get off the stand. Now, after court, Jax meets with the girls for dinner. But before the other girls get there, it's just her and Autumn, right? And so Autumn is telling her about Ozzie. And she gives Jax the advice. And Jax was telling her about Ozzie and how things may be worse now with Monica. And the abuse possibly starting back up with Monica along with the drug use. He gonna spiral really soon if we don't try to seek some sort of intervention for him. This ain't gonna work. And so Autumn ends up suggesting that she try to talk to her dad to see if she can get some insight from him, right? Because he done been through the struggle. He done been through the struggle before. He knows what it is. And, you know, for now, he seems like he's sober-minded. So try to see if you can get some insight from him to help you navigate these murky waters, okay? So then the rest of the girls show up. And, did I not? Okay. The rest of the girls show up and, you know, they try to switch the subjects real quick, which they're successful. And y'all remember that Sally and Jax got this standing tension between them because she called her an old hoe and she called her an old hater. So after dinner, Jax don't waste no time going over to apologize to her. You know, I didn't mean nothing by it. I meant well by you. You know, I only got your best interest at heart. I only said those things because me and Lewis done been through some things and I done did a whole bunch of things. Okay, and I just don't want you to get hurt the same way that I got hurt. Don't have any misunderstandings about where y'all stand right now, especially because y'all got them kids and stuff. I'm concerned about you, friend. Listen. Now, me and my friends, we done argued, not to this extent, but I would never call my friend an old hoe unless I'm playing with her. She wouldn't call me no hater. That just ain't in her spirit. But yeah. So she was like, friends, and she was like, girl, old hoes need love. Okay, old hoes need hugs or something like that. And so they go in and they have a hug, y'all. But I feel like they still gonna have this whole love-hate relationship happening. If the switch flipping like that so fast, then I would be side-eyeing both of y'all. So after dinner, Jax ends up stopping by Eddie's house to talk to him, or his room rather, to talk to him. And before he let her in, y'all, he trying to tidy up real quick. He got a whole bunch of paperwork in his lap. He got a whole bunch of paperwork laid out on the bed. He got paperwork in bags all over the counter in front of the TV. And I was like, what you got going on? It's plenty of paperwork alluding to the fact that, yeah, he probably is suffering from some sort of terminal disease. Now, while she's in there talking to him, Lewis ends up rolling up the place to track her, and I had told y'all about that. But back to Jax. She comes to hear him out. Okay? Last time we met, I was doing a whole bunch of talking, but now I want to hear your side of things. Can you please explain what was happening in the time frame that you were missing from my life? And so he says, you know, it all started with him just trying to create music and play his instruments and, you know, be a part of something great musically. And he just wanted to fit in. He wanted to be cool. And being cool at that point in time was socially smoking. Okay? Something. It started off with cigarettes, which led to weed, which led to lines, and so on and so forth, to him ultimately shooting up in his veins. And, he had drugs at the ready at every turn. If it wasn't his bandmates supplying them, it was managers, agents giving them drugs just to keep them under control. See, when they got what you need, they can control you quite a bit. And so she was like, you don't say. Talking about Monica. Yeah, he do say. And so, he told Jax that he would think about her often. Hell, I would fall asleep thinking about where you were, how you been doing, what you got going on. I just don't want you to not give me a second chance. I want to be able to prove myself to you. I just need a fighting chance, girl. That's all I want to do. I want to be here in this moment. So they hug it out, and like I said, as she's leaving, she don't happen to notice her husband's fancy dancy car in this seedy motel parking lot. Now, Alex makes good on his threat because apparently the money didn't clear quick enough for him. It didn't come to his account quick enough. She didn't have the $100,000 that he was asking for, and he decided to go to the DA about Ozzie. And in return, DA Chad is offering him immunity. Guaranteed immunity. We call it a proffer. Okay, you tell me what you know about these criminal shenanigans, and I will go ahead and let you skate on all of those drug charges. That's it. So they're filing into court for the day when Daniel pulls Crystal to the... Crystal, yeah. I was like, was it really Crystal this time? I put it in my notes, y'all. It was Crystal. To the side to get some more dating advice. And she was like, boy, what is it? Shit, you just breathing down my neck all the time. You clearly got something on your mind. What do you want? And so he says he wants to get this girl who he has told her is an apartment building neighbor. He wants to get her a gift, but he don't know what to get her. And so she was like, hey, so have you asked her out on a date? And he was like, what? No. And she was like, then do that. The date is the gift. Now, while Crystal may think that this is possibly Daniel's first girlfriend, he ends up telling her that around his way back in the day, they used to call him Little Casanova. And she was like, yeah, right. What's the nastiest thing that you done did to somebody? And he went to go whisper in her ear, and we made her shiver a little bit. It sent the shiver down her spine. Him and them pinkies. I was like, girl, Krista, you thinking about trying it on a drunk night? She just might. Now, on the stand, Nisha, we ain't seen her in quite a few episodes. Nisha testifies to being concerned about Wendy, especially after she didn't show up for that Vanity Fair shoot, because, listen, Wendy ain't missing that one. She not missing that opportunity. So she said after she didn't show up to the shoot, she tried to call Ozzie and see what was going on with him and Wendy. But he was like, girl, I don't know where she at and I don't care. Click. And she said she hadn't spoken to him since. But when Jax get up there and she do her cross thing, oh my God. Jax pointed out that Wendy would sometimes take a mini vacay to clear her head, right? She had her testify to that. You know, they would argue or whatever. She would take a couple days off. She would disappear, wouldn't hear from her, but then she'd always pop up. And so she was like, okay, have you ever seen him get physically violent with her? And she was like, nah, she ain't never showed up with no bruises or nothing like that. But he wasn't nice to her. You know, he was hot and cold, nice and no. In and out, up and down. Okay? So, But you ain't never seen no bruises on her, huh? Nah, but he sure didn't make her feel bad. Okay, well, that don't make him a murderer. Maybe a bad boyfriend, but not a killer. Okay, let's proceed. So then she points out that Nisha might have possibly had her own motive. Hers being Wendy's business. See, just 3 days after Wendy went missing, old Nisha ended up sending out a public service announcement to Wendy's full list of clients saying that she will now be taking over business operations. I'm running things around here now. That's what she said. And she was like, how many days was that after she went missing? She was like, 3. Excuse me, can you say it for the people in the back? I said 3. Now, Lewis is trying to be bootleg PI. Oh, I'm past that. Let's just keep on moving. So, he ended up visiting Daniel again, y'all. I forgot about that. He popped up to Daniel again. He was like, hey, so I tried to do this thing by myself. It's a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be. I sure could use your help. And Daniel was like, I sure could use some money. You got some? Because I don't come cheap and I don't come free. Despite, you knowing that I work for Jax, I need to be compensated for my time. And so he was like, all right, cool. Whatever you need me to do, just let me know. So Jax ends up catching up to Monica, and she let her know exactly what she thought about her. Girl, you need to stay away from Ozzie. I know what you've been doing to him. It ain't right. It ain't been right since he was 13. And Monica was like, girl, what is you talking about? What do you mean? I've not only been his agent. Why you think that it's abuse? I call it protecting him because, according to Monica, y'all, and it made me so mad how she was excusing it. She said that she was doing everything that she could to protect him, keep him away from other predators like her, keep him away from girls that's trying to take advantage of him, have them knock them up and then they asking for child support and all of that. She trying to protect him from everything. Whew. And so she was like, girl, you still an abuser and you should be up under the jail. And so Monica ends up switching gears like Jack's mama and was like, girl, you think you got a handle on who I am, but let me tell you exactly who you are. Me and you, we one and the same. See, you want the power, the respect, and the financial gain that Ozzie gives you. Okay? And we both got some sort of complex. We know where it started. At home. Okay? Now, I know my issues. What about yours? Because you didn't seem the least bit interested until somebody showed up dead and then you needed to defend him. Seems like you live for a whole bunch of drama, Jax. And they have been highlighting that this whole season. She's not the first person to say that. But either way, she was like, girl, stay the hell away from Ozzie. Stay away from him, you predator. Somebody, listen, they both had on heels. At that point, I would have stuck my foot out and I would have tripped Monica. Because what? I can't put my hands on you because then I'd be showing up in court in handcuffs. But I sure am going to stick my foot out. So Chanel ends up stopping by Chris's apartment for whatever reason. She got some nerve. Because you the reason that we in this predicament in the first place. And so she stopped by his apartment to see why he's deciding to take all of his frustrations out on Sally like he is. Completely oblivious to the fact that him and Sally still, having marital rendezvous. But there's a deeper truth behind that. And the truth is that he is pissed that Sally would jeopardize him in the way that she did, him and the family. I bet you she didn't tell you that I was the first person in my family to ever own a home, did she? I bet you she didn't tell you that. Well, I know she didn't. But either way, it seems like he's just doing this to punish her. Either you gonna be in or you gonna be out. Don't be stringing my cousin along. Okay, let her go if you gonna let her go. Quit playing with her feelings like this. So later on, after him and Sally got done, having that little romp session for the night, she's getting ready to head out when he invites her to Mama D's house for Thanksgiving. You don't invite everybody to Thanksgiving dinner. But it ain't what you think. And so she was like, oh, why you have a sudden change of heart about it? He was like, actually, you know what? It's not for us. It's for the kids. I was really thinking that it is a lot happening right now. They need all the stability they can get. And as soon as he said it was for the kids, y'all, Sally's face deflated completely. And with that, after hearing that, she got the clarity that she needed, and she served his ass them divorce papers. He was like, divorce? Yes, divorce, sir. Please sign and return to my lawyer. Thank you. So at the office, Chad invites Mike over for advice on how to handle Jax. And he's got this very important witness that's coming up, and he needs to make sure that he capitalizes on this next witness. It could be a make or break for him. And so all Mike can tell him is that Jax's weakness is that she gets too emotionally involved with her clients while she's working on their cases. There is always some sort of personal tie, some sort of personal pull from Jax's emotions that allows her to go in like she goes in for these clients. Okay, the goal is to remain objective. See, sometimes you get blinded by all of that emotion. So maybe you can get her there. Now, at the other office, Bill and Jax talk about the latest addition to the witness list. It's Alex. And Bill was like, oh man, this is exactly what we needed. Ozzie is finally going to be able to get that alibi verified. And she was like, oh, just keep reading, good sir. Just keep reading. And so we find out that Alex is going to testify that he took Ozzie up to the cabin the night that Wendy was killed. Well, that wasn't what I was expecting, but okay. So she goes to Ozzie's house and confronts him about yet another lie. And he says, all right. So I wasn't here by myself. After that argument, I called Alex so we could get high together and watch First 48. And after that, I passed out. And she was like, you passed out? How do you know you passed out? Or did you black out? He was like, I passed out. I know that for sure. So it's time for Alex to take the stand. And he got ripped apart, y'all. Jax ate him up. But let's see what he's got to say on the prosecution side of things. So he said that he took, he talked about their friendship, him and Ozzie's friendship at first, how they met on the set of My Cousins and them, and they got close, and his parents wasn't about squat, and so thankfully Ozzie's parents took him up under his wing. I wonder if his dad is involved in something going on with him. Maybe why this... Okay, so that was a side theory, y'all. I won't come back to it because I got to get back to work. But he was saying how, Ozzie's parents had took him up under their wings and they took care of him and all of that. And him and Ozzie would be friends until they wouldn't. And the main reason why they wouldn't be friends is because, he would get a new set of friends, all them high-profile celebrities, and then he'd just forget all about him. But I played my role. I learned to play my role well. So I would be there for him whenever Ozzie needed me. And so he ends up telling them that on the night that Wendy went missing, he did take him up there to the cabin. And he's got a toll receipt to prove that he went up there with him. And so he says that now he's decided to come forward because it's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. So while he's talking, y'all, Ozzie is writing, he is a effing liar on the paper. And Jax was like, oh, trust me, I know. Also, while he's talking, Daniel keeps looking up at Kristen's reactions and the way that she's shifting and moving. And he comes to the wise conclusion that Alex is F-no. But I'm starting to think that she has something to do with whatever happened to Wendy, but now it's Jax's turn to cross-examine him. And so she raises doubt in his story by questioning if Ozzie was really with him. I mean, just because you got this toll booth receipt doesn't mean that he was with you. I mean, you could have went up there by yourself. You got any pictures? You got any timestamps or anything like that? Well, no. All I got is this toll booth receipt. There's no evidence to support that he was with you. So she also calls into question how he knew for a fact that Ozzie and Wendy were arguing. And so I forgot to tell y'all that he said that once he dropped Ozzie off up there to meet with Wendy, He was sitting in the car for a while, but then he got a little impatient, and so he stepped out the car and started looking in through the window, and he could see that they was arguing. And so he got back in the car because he was like, that ain't none of my business. My name is Bennett, and I ain't in none of that. And so she was like, how did you know that they were arguing? Maybe he was running lines for a role. Clearly something that you don't know nothing about, seeing as how you ain't had no role since you was on my cousin and them. But you say that you are a CEO of a company? What is your company? What do you do for a living? Can you tell me about this? What is this that I'm finna get ready to show you? Y'all, he got a rap sheet longer than a CVS receipt. Oh, so you said that your business is selling drugs? Huh? Is part of your business also hustling and scamming folks up out of their money? Is that what you was doing? You figured that you would try to get as much money out of Ozzie, and then when he wouldn't pay you no more money, that's when you said that you was going to try to get it by any means necessary, even if it's to take out his person and pin it on him, huh? Is that what you was saying? Yeah. She was like, oh, the DA got you up here trying to perjure yourself for this little offer of immunity that he done granted you. But you ain't told me nothing. Ain't told me nothing. You did all that so you wouldn't get charged with selling him drugs. But you lied up here on the stand. But also, you did corroborate the fact that you went over to his house and y'all got high that night. But you said that he was in and out too, right? So if he's in and out, how does he have enough wherewithal to commit a murder? He didn't have nothing to say, y'all. Chad went back to that office and was pissed. Y'all, he started shifting that whole room. Okay? Shifting the whole room. I was like, you're going to have to clean that up, right? So Kristen stops by Daniel's house under the pretense, that they're going to have a game night. Now, he does bring up the fact, hey, girl, well, why you lie? Why you lie about Alex? Huh? We've been trying to scramble our brains to try to find this man. And here he is right here on your phone this whole time. Why you lie? Now, she said that she didn't see Alex doing all this. She had no clue that Alex was selling drugs to Ozzie. She didn't have no knowledge of any shenanigans or wrongdoings that he was doing for Ozzie. And so when he tried to question her a little bit more to avoid said questions, she started kissing him and unbuttoning her blouse. And y'all know what that meant, honey. They was playing the weekend often. And he put whatever he told the Crystal to good use on Kristen. Because, honey, them eyes started rolling. He went on and put his face in the place, y'all. He had a good old time. And she did too, I would like to think. I'm just wondering what the repercussions are going to be from all of this. Poor little Dane going to get his heart broke. So while he's going to town, Jax is blowing up his phone. She ends up getting a voicemail, and she told him, hey, I don't know what you got going on right now, but when you get done doing whatever you're doing, can you please look into Monica and her alibi for the night? Because I feel like she was the one that killed Wendy. Speaking of Monica, Ozzie is calling Monica, and he's trying to vent about what happened, and he could hear some noise in the background. He was like, girl, what is you doing? Y'all, Monica is over there getting rid of evidence. Protecting you. That's what she said. Y'all, she threw some sort of, it looked like some sheets or something that's got blood all on them. Sheets or a blanket into the fire pit. I'm sure Ozzie didn't have nothing to do with that, but I'm pretty sure that somebody in his family did, and maybe this might cause him to spiral a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe he did black out. I don't think he did that, though. I don't think he did whatever is happening to... I don't think he did that to Wendy. But I do think that something is definitely afoot there. So, that's the end of it, y'all. That's the way the episode ended. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it, okay? Because there's a whole bunch of side shenanigans going on. What is on Alex's video that he's got blackmail for? Who do y'all think killed Wendy? I think it was Kristen, y'all. I think it was Kristen. I don't even have another possibility. I can't even say the daddy because I don't think that. Well, maybe. Maybe Wendy found out about it. I think that daddy did something with Alex back in the day. Because Alex was giving hard, and then when he showed up, I was like, yeah, no, that is not it. So, yeah, y'all let me know, okay? You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, y'all. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.